Wife is jealous/anxious of ex-wife. I'm bad at managing emotions in general. What am I not seeing here? How to even start? And apologies for the absolute wall below. Brave soul. I pity the excursion you're about to take. My wife, Louise, and I have been living together for 6 years, dating 7. Not officially married yet because JFC those rings and that party are damned expensive. I love my time with her. I love how she supports me. I love that she accepts my support as support and not, "Why haven't you done it yet?" criticism. I love her cooking. I love her wanting to go out and take me with her. I'm a hermit by nature. My ex, Constance, and I have a contentious relationship. She cannot take criticism of any kind. I have to be very careful to speak in the third person when talking with her, and always to couch things in a way that will lead her to my point, but make it seem like it was her idea. It's utterly exhausting. I want nothing more than simply to never have discourse with her again. Constance is a petty, small-minded, vindictive person. One of those people who believes all their own lies and even forgets that they were lies and not the factual reality. But our son is only now 13, so 5 more years of tiptoeing around her wild unpredictability. My son's PTA meeting is tonight. My ex said she wouldn't be there as she had work appointments, so I asked my wife if she'd like to join and meet the teachers, to which Louise said yes. My ex then texted me this morning that she would, after all, be at our son's PTA tonight. This type of flip-flopping, especially regarding her absence or attendance at events, is expected from her. So, I texted my wife that now the ex is coming, sorry, and I got a long bunch of texts back. Of course. She has been getting more time from you too. I am hating this shit. Makes me very uncomfortable. I won't come, it's okay. Please watch yourself. You very easily become used to her. And give her time. She knows how to talk over the phone where you keep listening. You need to use more emails. And less calls. I have found you talking to her over the phone 3 times last week. And I heard some of them were random unnecessary information that you didn't need to listen. I'm sure she will try her best to physically be close to you. I hope that you stay alert and move away. I have seen her minimizing proximity before. And you didn't bother. I hate that she looks like the women from your corn, so makes me more nervous and insecure and mean and hurt. I hate being this toxic. Hate this side of me. Hate how I talk. Hate it. Sorry it's hard for me to fully trust this situation between you and your ex cause in the past you have failed to maintain distance and spent time with her in ways I didn't approve of. I can't keep controlling how you allow her space in your time. I will have to give up eventually and walk out if these phone calls are normal for you, and you don't see listening to her endlessly gabbing is not okay. I can't allow her during my holidays and visits and social gatherings anymore. I won't be there in an event where you need to talk to her for durations. So prioritize, or let me know you can't. So, that's a lot to unpack. I don't know why Louise said I very easily become used to her ex. She's my ex. I lived with her for 12 years. Of course I'm used to her. I'd call it inured, rather than used to, and resigned. I'm not going to change my ex. I'm not going to correct her behavior. I don't have that power. So I do my best to simply ignore her as much as possible. Give her time, and talk over the phone to keep me listening, is referencing when I get a phone call from my ex, which I usually take because it's likely regarding my son. I have an instinctive, pick up the phone the instant it rings, response that I guess comes from my childhood, where, if the phone hadn't been picked up by halfway through the first ring, one or both of my parents would react negatively to the damned phone still ringing. Perhaps a third of the time the call is only tangentially referencing my son, which is frustrating, and I sit there in customer service mode, waiting for Constance to stop yakking so I can bring the conversation back to the point and get off the phone. I'm also bad at interrupting her to do that, get to the point and get off, because I'm always afraid of triggering Constance and having her scream at us more / again, or make more / repeated threats to keep my son from me. These things have happened before when my ex felt triggered. Regarding physical proximity, the easiest thing for me to do is simply ignore her. We are occasionally, once or twice a year, at functions together, like tonight's PTA meeting, And I do my best to pay attention to the person/people I'm there to talk to, and to my son, and I generally ignore what Constance's doing or how she's being and focus on the discourse. Occasionally I go back to the person afterward and discuss how the opinions expressed by my ex are not mine. My ex's physical proximity to me is irrelevant to me. Sigh, the corn comment. My wife, very unfortunately, once accidentally logged into the wrong Chrome profile. It's deleted now. Yes, it was open to a page with pictures on it. Comics, actually. Yes, those pics are more aligned with my ex's body type than my wife's. You know what 12 years with my ex taught me? Don't get married for looks, you fecking idiot. Marry the person, the mind, the brain. The body tells you nothing about what kind of person they are, and everyone turns into a chimp in their old age anyway. So, after my ex cheated on me, kicked me out, and withheld my son from me for 6 months, I looked for a person whose mind I felt compatible with. And lo and behold, having a better emotional and mental connection resulted in and away the best, most mind-blowing sex of my life. That was 7 years ago, and it lasted for about 3 or 4 years. But weight gain has ruined both our energy levels, and birth control, more like pose control, has ruined my wife's sex drive. So, yes, I use corn occasionally. We're trying to work on the weight. It's very slow going. Failed to maintain distance is referring to a time, once, 3 or 4, 5 years ago, where I had to take my son to a particular couple of stores and my ex, since she was involved in these purchases and was attending to, drove us. I got a lift with my ex so that my son wouldn't have to sit on several buses and we could be done faster. I could be done, and thus back home to my wife, faster. This upset my wife Louise, because it was too close proximity to my ex and in a closed environment with no witnesses, forget my son in the backseat. I have since respected Louise's boundary to never catch a lift with my ex. If I have to take my son somewhere, and Constance is going to be there too, e.g. orthodontist appointment, my son and I bus, Constance meets us there. And when she offers us a lift back home I say, it's okay, or make an excuse of some other appointment. Actually, I used to try to lie with an excuse of some kind. Now I just say, we're fine, thanks, or some such. I find the lying much too stressful. I don't like being dishonest. The last bit, I can't allow her during my holidays and visits and social gatherings, is referencing a phone call I received from my ex 2 years ago during a camping trip, where Constance was asking about my son, but also basically every phone call that I get from my ex. I do make sure to not take such calls around Louise anymore. I excuse myself to a different room. We were at my mother's birthday party last weekend, and I left the lodge entirely to take a call from my ex, which was actually germane. It was about his schooling and HS choice. I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do, how to manage these reactions from my wife. It's driving me crazy, because I absolutely do not want to go back to my ex. The idea is anathema to me. I only want to never speak to Constance again, but I can't very well block her phone number. She could use that against me if she were to sue me for full custody. We currently have a 50-50ths arrangement worked into our separation agreement. Our custody is agreed to, not imposed by the courts, so, were Constance to once again withhold my son from me, I would have to sue her for access, and I absolutely don't have the $30,000 for a custody battle, which she would draw out and complicate merely for the sake of financially ruining me. Forget what it would do to our son, or how it would equally financially ruin her. Being vindictive is simply who my ex is, and constantly ignoring her calls makes me feel like I'm being a rude jackass, which stresses me out. I've tried emailing my ex instead, but she just winds up calling back or sending texts instead of answering the email. Please call out where I'm being an idiot. I'm one of those gifted kids who was kept in his correct grade because the 1986 therapist thought it would help with my social development. It didn't. I've recently discovered that I'm very likely on the autism spectrum. Normal people and normal emotional reactions have never made one would have sense to me. I want to make my marriage work, but I feel like these reactions are a "you need to manage your emotions better" problem on my wife's side. But Louise clearly feels it's a "you need to manage your what should be a business relationship with your ex better." And I trust my wife's opinions about interpersonal things, but simply put, nothing here makes sense to me. and I feel attacked, which likely isn't helping.